A wonderful Thursday evening. You're tuned in to QTV News at 7. Government has reassured stakeholders that it will exercise fiscal discipline in the implementation of the 2017 national budget. United Progress People UPP President Xavier Chishimba claims he has strong and solid evidence suggesting that more than 50% of the money borrowed for roadworks has been plundered. Hillary Clinton has laid bare her disappointment at her election defeat to Donald Trump. With the details, my name is Michelle Malinga. Secretary to the Cabinet Fred Sonyamba has reassured stakeholders that government will exercise fiscal discipline with regards to the implementation of the 2017 national budget. Mr. Yamba says concerns being raised by various stakeholders on government's credibility to implement the national budget should not be there, as government remains resolute to ensuring that the budget is implemented according to the plan. Speaking during the analysis of the 2017 national budget organized by the Zambia Institute for Policy Analysis and Research, ZIPA, in Lusaka today, Mr. Yamba says the measures government has taken, as outlined in the 2017 national budget, will bring positive results to the nation. He has noted the need for both government and the private sector to work hard to build the country's economy.
I understand the concerns that were raised by the UNICEF representative with regard to budget credibility going forward, because it's one thing to prepare the budget and it's another thing to implement the budget. Because you look at certain variables, but as you implement, these variables tend to shift. We live in a dynamic world, and that is the biggest challenge, and that is implementation. And of course, he alluded to the fact that we've done well in allocating money to primary healthcare and other social sectors. And listening to the director from ZIPA, our concern was we're going to walk a tightrope. I think it's just a natural consequence of life that when you develop a budget, you stick to it. And if you have a deficit, you're going to have a deficit if you have the ability to repay. So again, government does what we call a debt sustainability analysis. We look at ratios with regard to our revenues and our ability to pay the interest. So we do not just borrow because we want to borrow. We borrow with a view that we should be able to grow the economy and in the foreseeable future be able to repay back. I think the bottom line for all of us as Zambians is to work a little bit harder, both in the private sector and also in government, so that we grow this economy. At the end of the day, if we can grow the economy, then we can raise more domestic resources.
Speaking at the same forum, ZIPA Executive Director Dr. Pamela Kabaso says it is comforting to see the sincere efforts the 2017 national budget has made in appreciating the current challenges in the country. Dr. Kabaso says it is also commendable that the budget has set a tone for a path to economic recovery through the homegrown recovery program dubbed Zambia Plus.
ZIPA says that the implementation of Zambia Plus will not be easy, hence our theme this morning. As earlier alluded to, it will require tightrope walking. And while on the tightrope, it will call for everyone to move and to pull in the same direction. There will be wind blowing, and sometimes the wind will pick up speed. And if on the tightrope, some sections of the economy become shaky in the wind, we urge you, sir, to master the political will and stewardship that keeps us steadfast to avoid blowing over the economic recovery program. Ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate the Honorable Minister of Finance's words. We cannot spend what we do not have, and we cannot borrow beyond our ability to pay. Furthermore, may I paraphrase, we can no longer afford to leave anyone behind either. This definitely makes for a daunting walk to economic recovery.
Inspector General of Police Kakoma Kanganja has directed all provincial police commissioners to implement the directive by government on the reduction of permanent and traffic checkpoints. In a statement made available to QTV News, Mr. Kanganja says he has since communicated to all police commissioners to ensure that all police officers adhere to the parliamentary pronouncement made by Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo. Mr. Kanganja has warned of stern action against any officer who will be found operating outside the recognized security and traffic checkpoint. He has since advised traffic departments to complement the remaining checkpoints with increased motorized patrols to ensure that there is observance of laws and regulations. The police IG has also warned of stringent action against all officers who have a tendency of engaging themselves in corrupt activities during police operations. United Progressive People UPP President Dr. Xavier Chishimba claims to have strong and solid evidence suggesting that more than 50% of the money borrowed for roadworks has been plundered by the PF government. Dr. Chishimba has since demanded for an audit of the Road Development Agency, RDA. He says the nation would be shocked to find out how much money has been allegedly plundered through road contracts. Speaking during a media briefing in Lusaka this morning, Dr. Chishimba says this is the more reason why the PF government decided to move the RDA to State House in order to have full control of the agency with the alleged intentions of plundering public resources.
We in the UPP have consistently been alerting Zambians about the high levels of corruption in the PF government. The mother of all corruptive practices is the Road Development Agency. And we call for a forensic audit with immediate effect at RDA. RDA is the most corrupt institution in the history of Zambia. RDA is used, it's like an ATM machine for politicians, where at any time that they want, they just wake up with their colleagues, business partners, they go to plunder the nation. They move by the PF to bring the operations of RDA under the purview of State House was a deliberate strategy to systematically plunder the national resources. And all of us are beginning to see what the motive was from the very beginning. Government ministers, permanent secretaries, private secretaries, and directors have become billionaires overnight.
Huh?
These people clamor to come into power, to power their way into quick wealth within the shortest possible time. This quick wealth has invariably been garnered through corruption and greed. Let me hasten to inform that I do not begrudge people getting rich as such, but they should do so legitimately, not through corruption. The cost of corruption is too high.
And Dr. Chishimba has condemned the move to amend the Constitution barely 11 months after the amended document was signed into law. He says it is a shame that the PF government wants to tamper with people's submissions in the Constitution to serve their interests. Dr. Chishimba says any attempt to tamper with the contents of the Constitution will be tantamount to disrespecting the people of Zambia.
The initial imagination to extend the presidential term to 7 years, reintroduce useless deputy minister positions, provide for the inclusion of MPs in the running of local authorities, continuation of ministers after dissolution of parliament, and the removal of the 14 days clause after the presidential candidate is declared winner are an act of foolishness on the part of the Mumutiran Patriotic Front leaders. Why am I saying so? These are the people who, when the signing ceremony was taking place on 5th January, they said, finally, we've given the people of Zambia a constitution which will stand the test of time. And before the end of the year, they want to go back to begin to put what is appealing to them. That is not the way a basic charter can be handled. The Constitution is sacrosanct because it's beyond a legal document. It embodies, it reflects the aspirations of the people. And if you look at nations with the longest written constitutions, like America, Americans met in Philadelphia from 1887 to 1889. to draft the constitution. They met as an independent country. India did the same. Ghana did the same here in Africa. And since they ushered in a homegrown constitution, they have never, ever amended that. Look at the progress that is being recorded in this.
We take a break. We'll be back after this.
Hey, brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Oh, the sky comes falling down, but there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear you call. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't do.
Hatch your eggs the right way. Order the best and high-quality incubators today. Order today from Power Express, the distributors of Bledge incubators at very discounted prices, like a 96 capacity at only 3,000 kwacha, a 264 capacity at only 5,100 kwacha, a 528 capacity at only 7,200 kwacha, a 880 capacity at only 8,200 kwacha, a 1,056 capacity at only 11,200 kwacha. You can say Christmas came early. This is a gift from Bledge to all poultry farmers this summer breeding period. Bledge incubators, hatch your way.
Is to make sure.
Discover new horizons and explore new destinations. Starting this September, Rwandair will connect you to Cotton from as low as 9,980 kwacha and to Abidjan for only 8,008 kwacha. Book now and enjoy a luxurious service coupled with unparalleled comfort. For more information, please call 0950-131-061 or 0968-345-259. Email sales.lusaka@rwandair.com or visit us at rwandair.com or contact your preferred travel agents. Terms and conditions apply.
Rwandair, fly the dream of Africa.
We continue with the news. Mines Minister Christopher Yaluma has admitted that policy inconsistencies in the last 3 years have contributed to the issues government has had to deal with mining companies. Mr. Yaluma says the 2017 national budget has therefore tried to address the policy inconsistencies and grow confidence in the mining companies. He says government wants to put policies in place that will stimulate operations of the mines and encourage mining companies to continue with their operations. Mr. Yaluma says government wants the mines to sustain their businesses amidst the challenges the country is facing. He adds that government is also monitoring the operations of the mines to ensure that the country gets a fair share from the mines.
Is to make sure the mining industry is a bit cushioned and stable so that this budget will never spell anything which they never thought of or understood or predict. So we've tried to be very, very considerate, taking cognizance of the mine operation for the future. As a mine ministry, what we are doing right now is to ensure that we push in policies that will work for the mines, policies that will stimulate the operations of the mines.
The Teaching Council of Zambia has refuted social media reports suggesting that it has banned the wearing of skirts by teachers. Council Registrar Dr. Ebi Mubanga says there is no prescription of the specific type and length of attire for teachers in the Code of Ethics that is being developed for the teaching profession. He says the Teaching Council is more preoccupied with professional development and practice of teachers rather than non-significant issues such as dressing. Mr. Mubanga adds that there is nothing like dress code for the teachers in Zambia and has advised teachers not to believe such rumors.
The Teaching Council of Zambia is a statutory body established through an Act of Parliament, the Teaching Profession Act number 5 of 2013. The mandate of the Teaching Council is to regulate teachers' practice and professional conduct. Of course, we started our operation seriously last year, 2015, and this time around we are dealing with teacher registration, which is a very important exercise, ensuring that every teacher applies for them to be able to practice from 2017 onwards. Now, I know as a newly established body, information needs to be passed on to people, including our teacher members. And we are concerned as a council because yesterday we received word that the Teaching Council has banned the wearing of skirts among female teachers. This information, I wish to categorically refute that it is not coming from the Teaching Council of Zambia, because as a professional body, certainly, we are more concerned with professional development of teachers as well as their practice and performance in class and outside class. Of course, we know dressing is important, but in Zambia, there is no dress code. The Teaching Council is developing the code of ethics in consultation with the Teaching Service Commission, but this document is not yet ready. Even when it will be ready, there is no caption indicating that teachers will be expected to dress in this particular manner. But we have generally talked about decent or modest dressing, but we have not prescribed and will never prescribe the type of dressing that teachers should wear. So those social media, speculations that the Teaching Council has banned the wearing of skirts among teachers at the place of work are false, and that is not coming.
And Dr. Muranga has advised teachers to apply for registration to Teaching Council of Zambia if they have not done so. He says beginning early 2017, only registered teachers will apply for practicing certificates.
At the moment, we wish to encourage teachers to apply for teacher registration, because if they don't do so, they will not receive the practicing certificates next year. And without these two credentials, the registration certificate and the practice certificate, one will not be able to practice as a teacher in Zambia. So it is important for all teachers to take up this message seriously. And our team members from the office are in certain provinces collecting submitted application forms at various DEBS offices. So it is a call for every teacher just to take this one up. Then teachers may also be reminded seriously to say they should not consume information through social media, because maybe social media, in my view, may just be some form of comedy. If you want maybe to relax, you can refer to social media. But when you get information there, I think don't rush to conclusions, because the Teaching Council will never speak through social media. We speak through established institutions like this one and the others. So please, teachers, seek clarifications from the right sources of information, and the right source of information is the Teaching Council of Zambia.
The Timber Association of Zambia has opposed a proposal in the 2017 budget to introduce specific rates on the export of unprocessed and semi-processed timber products at the rate of 10 kwacha per kg and 5 kwacha per kg respectively. TIPA's Vice President Charles Masange says this is a recipe for corruption and smuggling of timber. Mr. Masange has told QTV News in an interview that while his association has welcomed intentions by government to promote value addition as outlined in the 2017 national budget, there is need for experts in government to engage the timber producers on this matter before it is blown out of proportion. Mr. Masange states that it is not possible to do value addition by increasing duty on timber given the current prevailing situation in the wood sector in the country. He says government should reconsider its decision, especially that the wood sector has been going through a lot of problems due to poor policies. Mr. Masange says before Parliament approves the budget, there is need for the government through the Ministry of Finance to sit down with stakeholders in the wood sector to come up with reasonable amounts, describing the proposed fees as unreasonable.
As timber producers, we welcome the intention by government of promoting value addition in the budget of 2017. But the only unfortunate part is that it's not possible to do value addition by increasing duty to that extent of 10 kwacha per kg for timber and 5 kwacha respectively. 10 kwacha per kg translates into 10,000 kwacha per ton. Now, which means for someone to export a container, he has to pay about 300 to 250,000 to 300,000. They introduced rates in the section of this 2017 budget, section 154 of the budget. It's more than the timber export ban. We appeal to government to look into the sector because our sector for many, many years has gone through a lot of problems.
We take another break. Do stay tuned.
Hello, you're watching Cube Business. This time around, we are at Okadeco Office Furniture Store, Oka Trends. Here, you can get the very best of office furniture at very affordable prices. Now, these tables are executive, and I know that's definitely what's best for your office. Now, if you're looking to get yourself into the executive mood anywhere in your house, and I mean anywhere, Okadeco is definitely the place to be for you. You can get to Okadeco and get the very best of climbing material. If you're looking to get yourself a pedestal pan or maybe a tumbler holder, a paper holder, this is definitely the place to be. After a busy day at work, now the best thing that you can get home to is a luxurious bed. And this you can get at Okadeco. You can get all this at very affordable prices and you will definitely enjoy your rest and be ready for the next day. Ladies love matching things, from matching clothes to matching curtains, but at Okadeco you can get matching curtains regardless of what color your home is, because there's a wide variety of curtains regardless of what color your home is. You can get any type of curtain at Okadeco. Okadeco, along Kafuo Road.
Have some Manzi, pure and natural Manzi mineral. You can have it anytime, anywhere. Hey, Manzi mineral water. Have some Manzi, pure and natural Manzi mineral. You can have it anytime, anywhere. Hey, Manzi mineral water.
You're still watching the QTV News. The Center for Trade and Policy and Dialogue, CTPD, has described the 2017 national budget as highly ambitious. CTPD Acting Executive Director Isaac Moipopo says certain measures and provisions outlined in the budget might prove a challenge for the government to attain, considering that the country's economic growth rate. Mr. Moipopo cited the target of creating about 100,000 jobs as a difficult one, considering that the slow economic growth and how government has fared in creating jobs so far. He, however, states that in creating jobs, government should aim at creating sustainable jobs. And Mr. Moipopo says it is good that government has recognized the critical role that trade can play in facilitating development.
In economic infrastructure development projects that they would want to embark on, that would bring on board private sector players. Some of them include the construction of roads, which the government is proposing to do under PPP arrangement. And if you look at some of these projects and you try to tally it with the ambitious ambition of creating 100,000 jobs, we don't think that the jobs that such sectors create are sustainable jobs. Most of them are casual jobs that come to an end the very time that the construction process ends. Of course, it might have a spillover effect or impact in terms of enhancing trade and those things. But if we are to create jobs, I think they have to be quality jobs.
Agriculture Technical and Professional Staff Union of Zambia General Secretary Joe Kamutumwa has expressed concern that while government wants to see agriculture flourish, there has not been a corresponding emphasis and focus on strengthening agriculture extension services in the 2017 national budget. Mr. Kamutumwa says the country does not have sufficient extension officers to advise small-scale farmers on better farming methods. He says government needs to recruit extension officers in order to empower farmers with important technical support to thrive. Mr. Kamutumwa says farmers should be helped to engage in value addition, hence the need to recruit more agriculture extension officers to improve the agriculture sector. He knows that the country needs to recruit more agriculture specialists who will help farmers boost production and productivity.
And this is what we are talking about. When extension officers are on the ground, they will teach the farmers how to space their crops, what kind of management they need to do. In the process, that has a tendency of increasing the yields that the farmer will get in the end. So this is why we are calling upon Honorable Mtati, Minister of Finance, that he has to look at us. We don't, the budget, yes, was presented. Remember, a budget is just the estimate of expenditure. We know that it's not concrete in stone. And if need arises, like we've seen it in agriculture, they are putting pressure on agriculture to perform, but we do not have the kind of people that can help us get results. So we must begin with the first things first. Let's get the stuff on the ground so that production, we are assured that production levels will go up. They will advise the farmers what type of seed they can even grow. Because even from a seed itself, if you are not properly guided, you can start getting wrong results. So you can see how much work that agriculture has been given. And it will not be proper for us to be quiet if things have been targeted to agriculture and we are getting wrong results. We need to tell government at this stage, and you and I know that a budget always has a provision of supplementary. So if they missed us in the main presentation of the budget, we then demand that we be included in the supplementary budget of agriculture.
Opposition United Party for National Development, UPND, Director for Policy and Research, Dr. Jolwe Beyani, says the high cost of living in the country goes to show that the Patriotic Front government is not pro-poor. Dr. Beyani says the PF has done nothing to show that they are a pro-poor government, as evidenced from the increases in the prices of commodities. He notes that it will be difficult for the majority poor Zambians to survive with increases in the prices of essential commodities such as milli-meal. Dr. Beyani states that while government has continued to make statements on what they will do, they have failed to prove that they are a pro-poor government. He says what the PF has done so far does not match the actions of a pro-poor government.
Words must match action. I can also claim that I want to go to the moon because I'm inventing an aircraft that will take me there, but I don't even have one. So it's very easy to say you're still pro-poor, but what is it that you've done that shows you that you're pro-poor? To be pro-poor, it means you must deal with the cost of transport. You must deal with the cost of food. You must deal with the cost of housing. You must deal with the water and sanitation. Now you can see that all those elements are going up. Even simple things like water and electricity will go up in price. Now, tell me how a poor person will survive. I think the Jesuit Center for Theoretical Reflection now puts the food basket at around 3,000 kwacha. It used to be 5 years ago somewhere around 800 kwacha. All right? So the food basket cost has risen. Who will spend 3,000 kwacha on food? And who makes 3,000 kwacha in this country? What do the poor people who don't even have a job do? Now, I am failing to see the match between being pro-poor and the policy directive that we're giving this country, to support that claim. So I think that governments will make statements on what they want to do. You must judge them based on what they actually do. Pick what they say, compare that to what they do. And what the PF is doing and has done does not match with it being a pro-poor government.
Simple.
We still have more news coming up. Stay tuned.
Alright, so we're here to show you guys just how refreshing an icy cold Sprite is by doing a sub-zero swim. You ready, Les?
Yes, I'm ready, boy!
Alright, let's do this, Les. Whoa! Sprite! It's refreshing like that! Sorry, man, are you okay?
When you think water, think Aquamax. Aquamax, healthy drinking water, a product from Californian Beverages.
Welcome back. Some Kafua motorists working in Lusaka have pleaded with government to rescind the decision to increase the toll gate fees. Speaking on behalf of the residents, Charlie Kayula says most of the Kafua residents drive to and from Lusaka on a daily basis for work as well as to conduct business. He says this means that they will not manage paying toll fees every day, adding that it will be as good as working for the toll fees, considering that they will have to spend over 1,000 in a month on toll fees. Mr. Kayula says government should therefore consider exempting the locals who travel to Lusaka for work on a daily basis from paying toll fees.
The business sector, certain policies concerning the toll gates are not meant to do very positive things towards the economic sector. The costs and the amount that we're supposed to pay on the toll gates, just in a day as business people, we feel it is impacting on our business on a negative sense. The impact is too much. I'll give an example. If I have a very big motor vehicle, I'm supposed to pay about 500 per toll gate. In a day, if I make about 4 trips, that is about 2,000. That has a very big negative impact on the overall profit of my company or my business that I'm.
Chinese ambassador to Zambia, Yang Yuming, says Chinese investment in Zambia currently stands at about $3 billion. Mr. Yuming says foreign direct investment stood at about $271 million from January to September 2016. He says with the elections over and the return of political stability and economic activity, the trend is bound to continue in the coming years. Mr. Yuming adds that Zambia and China are poised for closer cooperation in the financial sector. He notes that the long-lasting friendship the two countries have continued to enjoy has benefited both countries greatly. Government has been advised not to take lightly the failure by the Food Reserve Agency to meet the 500,000 metric tons maize purchase target, as this may have a huge impact on Zambia's food security. UPND Chairman for Rural Reconstruction and Development, Mono Mapani, says government should come up with mechanisms that will ensure that Zambia is food secure. Mr. Mapani says in order for the nation to be food secure, there is need for the government to offer farmers an attractive price for their maize. He says what has happened this year should be a lesson to the government in the future to listen to stakeholders on issues pertaining to the maize floor price in order to ensure the country is food secure.
Mapani, I'm the chairman for Rural Reconstruction and Development for UPND. Today I want to center my discussion on agriculture. That the people in government have failed to show direction as to how the people of Zambia will survive next year. The manner they have managed the 2015-2016 season was very poor. And we're still seeing a repeat of the same in 2016-2017 farming season. The Food Reserve Agency has failed to meet the target purely because of the poor policies and the poor planning. And the people of Zambia are wondering as to why this happened. Purely as an individual and as a researcher in this area, I came up with the answer to say the manner the Patriotic Front handled the 2016-2015 farming season and failed to buy the produce from the farmers is definitely going to be a repeat in 2016-2017 farming season.
And And MMD Chairman for Agriculture for the Felix Mtati faction, Chishala Chilufya, says government should learn to consult widely before coming up with a maize floor price to ensure that farmers are happy with the price offered to them.
I think it's going by the presidential inauguration speech where the president talks about highly about agriculture. I think that is the right direction. If our country has to be developed, Zambia should look to other investment avenue, which is an agriculture. Particularly, we should not only look about maize. Let's look about also this value-added crop. Looks about soybeans, cashew nuts, tobacco. Also, they're very important crops to be invested. What our appeal to the Minister of Agriculture? They have to invest into the research. In Zambia, we haven't done so well in the research. That's why we're having the problem in agriculture. The potential of Zambia producing and becoming the food basket of the SADC region, it's very high. What we need is the technocrats in the Ministry of Agriculture, the political will, and the heavy investment in agriculture. Otherwise, who will produce and we are going to develop our country?
Attorney General Likando Kalaluka has called on the corporate community to consider helping improve the studying and learning environment for law students in the country. Speaking when Stanbic Bank handed over the studying cubicle at the Zambia Institute of Advanced Legal Education, ZIALI, in Lusaka today, Mr. Kalaluka says the number of students enrolling to study law is increasing every year. Mr. Kalaluka, who is also ZIALI Council Chairperson, says ZIALI has this year enrolled over 300 students, the highest intake enrolled since the institute was established. He says it is for this reason that the corporate community should consider helping law learning institutions and equip them with modern learning facilities to enable them undertake their studies effectively.
And, in the process, in the last 5 years, they have all been able to produce students who have come to ZIALI. So obviously, with the increase in the number of students at ZIALI comes the need to improve the infrastructure in terms of quantity and quality. I'm glad today Stanbic Bank has heeded the call, the ever-present call, to ensure that corporate entities actually look to society. And it's very pleasing today that Stanbic Bank has chosen ZIALI as the beneficiary for this corporate social responsibility. How I wish the students were here so that they can see for themselves. I'm sure they'll actually get to see this when they finally come here. But what is important is that I wish they were here so that they can see for themselves that actually society out there is determined to assist them, to create an environment for them to study hard and obtain good results. And one such testimony to that is the fact that Stanbic Bank has come through to ensure that at least they can study in a more befitting environment. I believe that with a comfortable studying environment, that can lead to better and enhanced performance in terms of examination results.
And Stanbic Bank Zambia Head of Legal and Company Secretary Doris Tembwe says the bank is constantly seeking opportunities to better the lives of the people of Zambia. Mrs. Tembwe says the bank will be part of the stakeholders to drive and better Zambia's economy.
It is our absolute hope that these cubicles will go a long way to help the current students study as well as the future ZIALI students to come. As a bank, we have had discussions with ZIALI management to us having banking hours on premises. These banking days will also give our staff an opportunity to hold financial literacy sessions for your students. Financial education is every person's right, and the skills to earn, save, days, it is on Tuesdays and Fridays, for the next 5 weeks to enable, showcase the various products and services that the bank offers. And also, we will be able to carry financial education. Ladies and gentlemen, Stanbic is constantly seeking opportunities to better the lives of the Zambian people. As a bank, we say Zambia is our home and we drive her growth.
We take a recap of the stories. Government has reassured stakeholders that it will exercise fiscal discipline in the implementation of the 2017 national budget. United Progress People UPP President Xavier Chishimba claims he has strong and solid evidence suggesting that more than 50% of the money borrowed for roadworks has been plundered. In international news, Hillary Clinton has laid bare her disappointment at her election defeat to Donald Trump in her first public appearance since she lost a week ago. The Democratic candidate said she had wanted to curl up with a good book and never leave the house again. But in a speech at a children's charity, she urged the audience to fight for American values and never give up. Mrs. Clinton won the popular vote but was beaten to the presidency in the all-important U.S. Electoral College. Dozens of protesters demanding a military coup have forced their way into Brazil's lower chamber of Congress in the capital, Brasilia. At least 40 demonstrators scuffled with guards and took over the podium at a session began on Wednesday. Denouncing government corruption, they called for a return to military rule which Brazil saw from 1964 to 1985. In Rio de Janeiro, police fired tear gas at public sector workers protesting against cuts. The protesters swept past security guards and smashed a glass door to get into the parliament chamber, where they shouted General here," and sang the national anthem. It took police 3 hours to round up all the protesters, according to Reuters news agency. And in that note, we end the news. For these and more stories, be sure to log on to our website and join us for our next bulletin at 10 p.m. My name is Michelle Malunga. Good evening.